Happy birthday, Legend of Zelda. Can't believe you are now 30 years old. That's incredible. You are an amazing game series, an amazing game franchise. And because you are so amazing, and I had so much memories growing up with this series as a kid, I'm going to talk about those memories I've had, talk about my favorite games for the console and the mobile. Sit back, relax, and let's get talking about this. Oh man, I have so many memories with The Legend of Zelda. The first video game I could recall ever playing was The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And my first memory was in Lon Lon Ranch for whatever reason. You know how you just shoot back in your memories and you're just somewhere, you just don't know why? Well, that's where I was. Lon Lon Ranch. Little young Link running around, I think with like 5 hearts or something like that. It was such a cool thing. The Nintendo 64 just came out. It was a huge deal. I didn't know. I frankly didn't even really know what video games were as a 5-year-old kid. Another memory I had was in the water temple. I could not beat that. I was probably about 10 or 11 years old and struggled so hard to beat that. This next door neighbor, this girl was my friend, and I would go over there and talk to her across the fence sometimes. I was telling her about my problems one day and how I couldn't beat the water temple, and she's like, "Oh, I know how to beat that." And then she pulled out a piece of paper and just started creating this diagram of how to beat the water temple. And the diagram was not even, she had told me to find one of the little balls that are spinning, and there's going to be a little string attached to it, and to shoot that with your bow and arrow, and it'll like blow up and a key will be there. Little did I know that was that was not correct, because I spent like the rest of my night trying to find that ball with the string, and I just gave up. Another kind of funny story like that, in Ocarina of Time, I couldn't find the 3 stones, you know, the first 3 stones you're supposed to get as a kid, and my sister was like, "Hey, just go to the Temple of Time, they're just right behind the pillars, you just gotta go right behind the pillars and grab them and then go put them there, and you can turn into an adult." And I'm like, "Seriously? It's that easy? Okay, cool." So I, popped on the game and started playing it, and went to the Temple of Time. I'm looking behind the pillars, looking behind all the pillars multiple times, and there's no stones. And I was like, what the frick? And I could not find the stones. I don't know why people always gave me, like, misinformation there to just, like, mess with me with this game. I had so much misinformation growing up as a kid trying to beat this game. It was just legendary. I would never beat it. One of the most disturbing things of Ocarina of Time was the redeads. Like, those scared the crap out of me. Those scared the pants off me as a kid. I remember the first time I turned into an adult, I think I was playing like my dad's account or something like that. I wasn't serious about the game when I was playing at the time. I remember going out to the Temple of Time, and there's these like zombies out there, and I'm like, ah! And I'm like scared, like my heart's beating and I'm freaked out. I'm like handing my controller to somebody, telling them to get past this part. Man. Also, going down into the well in Ocarina of Time, that was some scary business, alright? That was scary business. That game, as a kid, with video games not being so violent as they are now, that was some scary, scary stuff. I had a gold copy of Majora's Mask. Everybody had a gold copy with a little hologram. You could turn it and he like spun a sword or something. It was cool. I was so attached to my Majora's Mask game because I didn't have a lot of games as a kid, and the games I did have, I like cradled. I'm like, mine. My aunt was moving out or something like that. We're closing stuff down in the house, getting rid of everything, and we locked the door and left. And I'm like searching my pants and pockets. I'm starting to freak out. I'm starting to hyperventilate or something because I don't have my copy of Majora's Mask. I'm freaking out, and I'm like, I just left my copy of Majora's Mask. I just left my game. It's so important. And nobody would turn around. We couldn't go back to the house because we had just locked it. We're done. It's over with. Oh man, that was brutal as a kid. I think that psychologically hurt me because I still to this day miss that game. I do. RIP gold Majora's Mask cartridge. And this is one of my happiest memories, I'd say, possibly in my entire life. I'll let you guys know a little bit about my life at the time. So, as I was a kid growing up, my mom did not let me play video games. She was a video game Nazi. And then you have my dad over here who is pro video game, loves video games. But I don't live with my dad. I live with my mom, and my mom kept me away from my dad. But my dad would sometimes try to come see me or get me up there, fly me up there to visit. And he would send me presents for Christmas. us and stuff. I asked for a GameCube one year. This is when the Wii just came out that year. I think it was 2011. I asked my dad for a GameCube because I'm like, you know what? GameCube, I would love a GameCube. I have like a Nintendo 64 that I play faithfully. A GameCube would be a awesome upgrade. I'm waiting. It is snowing. There is snow pouring down. The mailman has not hit our house yet. I just sat there on that porch. All of a sudden I see the mailman pull up, and he didn't just get out, to give us our mail. He was going back for something. He was going back for a package. And I caught on to that, and I ran up to him, and sure enough, he pulls out this huge box. Huge. My eyes just... And he's like, hey, can somebody sign this? And I'm like, shoot, my mom's got to sign it. So I take this piece of paper and I run it down in the basement, bring it to my mom, have her sign it, bring it back up. I totally forgot the pen. He's like, oh, can I have my pen, bro? And I go get the pen, bring it back to him, grab my big package, bring it in. It's got my name on it and everything. I'm so excited. All the kids in the house were like, whoa, package. What is in there? I busted open. There's a GameCube box in there, but it's empty. I'm all looking around. I lift it out. There's a Zelda Twilight Princess shirt. I'm like, put the Twilight Princess shirt. There's a Wii box. Dun dun dun. I grab that Wii. I swing it out. I was filled. I cannot express or explain the feelings I felt at that time. I had a freaking Wii. What's a Wii? What does a Wii do? I had no idea. The internet wasn't like huge. I could only read about the Wii in the magazines, and I didn't even get magazines that much. It was the best thing ever until my mom said I could only play it for an hour. She busted in with her Nazi powers, and took my Wii away for no reason all the time. It was annoying as frick. It's kind of like a family thing, when a new Zelda game comes out. My dad calls me up. He's like, dude, new Zelda game's coming out. It's gonna be so awesome. You're gonna be able to use motion controls, or it's gonna be a big open world, or you're gonna be able to do this or do that, and this big epic adventure. We always get so hyped about it and stuff together, and we're just like Zelda lovers. We've grown up. My dad's gotten me accustomed. That's just what I love. I don't know why. I just do. As a kid growing up, I wanted to be Link. One day I found like a machete in my backyard. I shouldn't have found a machete in the backyard as a kid, and I pretended it was a Zelda sword. And I used my backpack as a shield. I stuffed it with styrofoam so that it was kind of tough. And I just pretended I was Link. Stuck a beanie on. Just, yo, I'm Link. Yeah. That was my childhood, was being Link. The Legend of Zelda is an amazing game series. There is no doubt about that. What makes it unique, though? What makes it so magical and amazing that it just captures our hearts, our attention, our imagination? It might be partly due to the fact that a lot of us grew up with Zelda, and this newer generation isn't going to understand that connection we have with the games. That could be a reason, or who knows, maybe Zelda is broadly just unique and magical. I don't know yet, because I can't see the effect that it has on the new generation like it did on mine. It's just like that iconic green outfit, the awesome adventures that you can go on, the crazy items, just that sound effect, those sound effects, that feeling of when you get a new item or you find a new collectible and you're just getting stronger and you're getting more powerful and you're getting ready to just take this whole world back because of this jerk. It's an awesome experience, a bunch of little parts that just come together. And it just is magical. It's amazing. It's unique. It's, look at Zelda 2016. They're going to take all the elements we love of Zelda, and they're going to give it to us in HD. They're going to give it to us wrapped in a present. And none of us really know what we're going to get, but we know we're going to love it. And that's with every Zelda game. Every Zelda game is perfect because they all have their little quirks, but all together and individually, they're all great games. Right now I'm going to cover my favorite console Zelda game and my favorite mobile Zelda game. My favorite console Zelda game goes to Majora's Mask. The original on the Nintendo 64, the 3DS port is just as good, so I'm kind of talking about both of them together. I think the reason that I love it so much was due to how good Ocarina of Time was. It's just like an extension to Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time built you up in this world and these characters and the sound effects, the music. It set you up for success and to love what you played. And it gave you more of that, but it didn't give it to you the same way. It gave it to you in a completely spun off way that was just incredible. All these characters like the Zoras, the Gorons, the Dekus, you knew who they were, you understood their race, and now you get to be them and Link, And you get to wear masks, which change, you know, your looks. That was always one of my favorite things about Ocarina of Time, was being able to get the different tunics and change your color, because you're staring at that green tunic all the time. So for the fact that it can change and you can see blue or red, it just changes the way you play the game. Same with how you can get different swords and how you can just choose your items. And also another thing that was really cool about Majora's Mask is you got to know this little young Link, this little kid. And when you go into Majora's Mask, this little kid that you're so accustomed to is now older, more mature. He's more powerful. All these items that you couldn't use in Ocarina of Time, like the Hylian shield or the bow and arrow, you can now use in Majora's Mask. They're now, like, it's almost like he matured enough to be able to use them. He can do crazy flips, he can ride a horse, he's just like his own independent character. You don't need to be an adult to do what this young Link can, because he's so versatile. So ultimately, I think that's what really boiled down to making Majora's Mask my favorite game, was that mature Link, just because he was my favorite Link out of all the Links that have been conceived, I guess. So the best mobile Zelda game, I'd have to say, goes to the Minish Cap. Have you guys played the Minish Cap? Because it is an awesome Zelda game. I really like how they went through and they revamped all the graphics from the Link to the Past. And they just made it this really detailed yet colorful and beautiful and detailed art style. And that is by far my favorite mobile Zelda art style that they've gone through with. And that game in general just had the most unique items you could get. Like, it had the claws, it had the gust jar. It just had a lot of these unique, diverse items that you don't see in a lot of the other Zelda games. It was so cool. You could go through and get these scrolls that gave you new sword abilities, so you could make your character stronger and more versatile by discovering some, like, extra abilities. That right there, that's an example of a perfect side quest, perfect side items. We need more of that, honestly. And you could also get, like, these fairies that would change your tunic to, like, red or blue, and they would give you different, like, abilities that you could do. They just made you, like, stronger or have more defense or whatever. Those details, those items, I just haven't seen that in a Zelda game, especially a mobile Zelda game, since. You could also shrink down to the Picori world, which is these little tiny people. It's just like a whole nother world to explore. You see these houses that you're so used to going in, but when you turn into a Picori and go into the little hole, it's just like a whole detailed world. You could go up into the balcony of the house, just in the little mouse holes. The whole game is colorful and beautiful. I absolutely love the menu graphics. The whole thing, loved it. Legend of Zelda, you are awesome. I'm so happy to be a Zelda fan, and I cannot wait for Zelda 2016. Come on, like for Zelda 2016, right? I mean, I've bought like all the Zelda games. I love Zelda. I just love looking at the cases. I love what Zelda brings to the world. Please like it up, subscribe it up. I will see all of you guys in future videos. Freaking love you, Zelda. Not actual Zelda, but I freaking love the series. Anyways, guys, I'll see all of you guys in future videos. Peace!